started with the products that we will be using. First up, I'm going to be using the Slimline Snow Globe Spinner pop-up die. I'm also going to be using the stamp set called Sweet Treats, and I'm going to be using the sentiment from it, You Are the Sweetest. And then an add-on die set that works very well alone called Truffle. These are my die cuts, 4 of the frame, 1 of the accordion, 2 of the mats that spin, 4 of the side accordions, 1 of the top where your string comes through, and then 3 of the plate for the sentiment. Here are all of the die cuts that I did for the awesome chocolates. And let me tell you what, after you do all these, you really want a lot of chocolate. Just saying. I'm going to first stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to prep my cardstock using my anti-static powder, and the powder that's in that container is the Brutus Monroe, and that is actually a talcum powder dispenser, like we used to use in the day, and found it on Amazon. I'm going to use my Brutus Monroe Alabaster White along with my Simon Says Clear ink to emboss that image, and I just used a dry microfiber cloth to wipe off the excess powder. I'm going to be layering this 3 times, so I did die cut that piece from the same cardstock just to give it a little bit of dimension. Now, the fun part, to make our chocolates. Now, you can simply just die cut these. Have your solid base one color, have the top another color, and then create the inlays that you get from these in another color. Just simply by layering the top part to the base, you already get that two-tone effect. We're going to take it one step further. We're going to pull out those Nouveau drops and our stickles and our glitter glue that are just collecting dust. Yes, absolutely. What also comes with this die set, though, is another base, and that's the paper that wraps around the chocolate when you get those heart boxes. So I did that in a red and also a shimmer gold. I'm going to prop each of the chocolates up onto those bases. So what I'm going to do first is for some of the chocolates, I'm going to use my glossy accents and just draw along that indentation where the other color is. It's just going to give it a little bit of dimension and a little bit of shine to make it look like that frosting is just sitting right on top of that chocolate. Do you need to do all of these steps that I'm doing? Absolutely not. I then pulled out a Nouveau drop that looked like raspberry sauce. So I chose a dark chocolate, and now I'm just going to draw along that line as well, making sure it's nice and thick, and it really does look like icing when it dries. I'm also using some stickles just to add some drops to give some texture and some decoration. And then for these chocolates with all of these little dots, I'm just using different colors. So I'm using a gold glitter glue, or I'm using a pink, or I'm using a white Nouveau drop. You know, just dig into your stash and decorate your chocolates the way that you would want them decorated. And here's what they look like. Now, some of these had to change because as they were drying, because I did leave these dry for 24 hours, my cat walked across them. Yeah, it's awesome. So I had to redo some. So you're going to see some different ones. So now let's build our spinner. I am first going to add double-sided tape to the top portion, the nook that holds your string. And I'm going to set that aside. And when you fold that, you want to make sure that the hole goes towards the bottom, not towards the top. I'm also then going to cut off that piece from the bottom accordion because I don't want it to flip towards the front. So I just trimmed that. I curl everything towards me. I saw that from Sabrina. It's very easy just to keep folding it towards you, and then it's easier to get the accordion folds in place. I'm going to make sure that when I fold that the 2 outer edges, the openings at the bottom, so it starts out with a hill on each of those sides so that I can line it up onto the frame. I die cut 2 frames for each side. Now the cardstock that I'm using here is 80-pound cardstock. I want this to be really sturdy and strong. But I don't have, you know, like the 120-pound cardstock or anything like that. So I'm just doubling up my 80-pound because I'm going to be putting a lot of weight on it. You saw the number of chocolates, right? Okay, I'm just saying. So I'm just going to make sure that these line up. Now, I didn't line this up correctly, so I just had to tear it up a little bit and then just glue that back down. And I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. Now, I am making sure, now it looks like I'm putting down a lot of glue. I'm really not. It's a very thin layer, but I want to make sure it's to the sides, that it's all over so that I don't get any air pockets in that. I'm now working on the side accordions. I'm using 2 of those panels that I have, okay? And what I'm going to do is when you fold those, you're creating like a W or an M. You want the W to face towards the inside so that the only thing that you see on the outside is the indentation, that hill. So that's the best way that I can explain that. At least that's how I set this up. I'm adding my double-sided adhesive to both ends. And you'll see when I attach these, I do use glue as well. That's another trick that I learned from Sabrina. She does some great tricks on her channels. I encourage you all to check her channel out, Scrappy Tales Crafts. She's got some great ways that she works with these dies and awesome tips and tricks. So I do add some glue to that double-sided tape. It allows you to have this wiggle room so that you can make sure that you're getting it right in the place where you want that. You can see that when I put that down, it wasn't where I wanted it to be. I was easily able to quick pick it up to make sure. I'm bringing in my my paper folder just to push down on those edges. And next we are looking at the accordion, and that's how you want that to go when I put that to the side. I'm adding 2 strips of my double-sided tape. It's just a little bit bigger than 1/4 inch, but that's a 1/2 inch spot. So I just want to make sure that it's fully covered. Again, adding some glue dots, and we're going to apply this down towards the bottom. Now, of course, I use black cardstock, and I have to say, using black cardstock is the worst when you're building something because you can't see. So that's why you see that brown chipboard below so that you can see it just a little bit better. Again, I'm using my reverse tweezers to hold down that accordion. These reverse tweezers for me are like hand number 3 and hand number 4. I wanted that to be as flat as possible so that I could line that up. Since I'm going to be adding so much weight to this, because again, it's a lot of cardstock, I'm going to take the other, I had cut 4 of the accordion panels. I'm going to take one of the spares because I didn't know if I was going to use both of them. And I'm going to cut down those score lines and double them up. I'm going to create braces right at the part above the base accordion to the accordion on the sides. This is just going to strengthen that area so it doesn't bow in. It might have that tendency to do that. I love adding layers, and sometimes I can get carried away. And this one, yes. These are spinner frame dies, and they are beautiful, but I also love when that panel just swings back and forth. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. So you can see I'm using those tweezers again. I'm pushing down on the base accordion to get it flat, and then I'm placing my frame on top. What I want to make sure here as I'm putting this together is that it's even, that the opening is where the openings should be. It's not off shifted by much. Look, I'm never perfect. I'm going to have a little bit of shifting and I'm okay. I just don't want it to be like a 1/2 inch off. So just to make sure that that's in place, I'm just pushing flat down. I'm setting one side of the thread holder in, and then I set the other one by pinching the 2 tops together, again, making sure that it's even. I've used double-sided foam squares to prop up my sentiment down onto the bottom. I dug into my stash and I found these beads, And I'm using some brown, black, red, and pink. I did not use the white ones. And I'm threading them onto a black piece of jute string. Now these beads are big enough that I can thread that jute through them. Once I have the beads that I want, I'm going to get them to the center, and I'm going to tie a knot right below that. By creating that loop of beads, it will not go through the hole at the top. And plus, it adds a little bit of decoration to the top of your spinner. Although I do hide it as we get through. I do like to have my strings longer as well, just in case. That was a quick shot of all of the candies that we had going on there. And now I'm taking one of the platforms, the spinning platforms, I die cut 2, and I'm putting a hefty amount of double-sided tape. And now we're going, and I'm going to set that aside. And now I'm placing my chocolates in an order. And I'm only using one of those right now. So I'm keeping them close to that base, but I do want them to hang off a little bit. Once I have them in the direction and the setting that I want, I'm going to use my Spellbinders tape to pick them all up and then apply glue to the back so that I can then place it right down onto that base. I love the Spellbinders tape. This is one tape that is low tack. I never have it pulling my cardstock, which I think is awesome. So you can see that will sit in there. I'm going to add some jewels. These are by Studio Katia, and these are the gold sparkle crystals. Make sure you put them on the right way. Yeah, there was a couple that I put on upside down. Yep, because that's what I do. Because they're clear like with glitter. I'm now going to take the second base. And I'm going, here again, I've got my third and fourth hand there. I'm holding this down, keeping it flat, and I'm placing that base into the center. Now you want to make sure when you do this that you're not perfectly centering it. You want to make sure that it's up towards the top a little bit, because again, that string is not perfectly flat down onto your table. So it will have a little bit of room and it'll drop. So just by lifting it up, pushing it up just towards the top, you will have no problems then creating your piece. I'm putting these pieces together before I design the back. And that's because I do have some chocolates overhanging, and I want to make sure that I have a chocolate on the other side to cover that up as well. Will it be perfect? No. No, it won't, but that's okay. At least there's going to be something here. That's the only item that I decorate that's on the back. I don't decorate the back of the frame. I can use a white gel pen if I want to write my message right onto this card. But this is the only area that I decorate to the back. I keep flipping it to the front because I want to see what chocolate is next. What should be hanging off that side. And I'm just looking and just gingerly matching those up. There's a little bit of an overhang. But again, that's okay. I'm going to add some more gems. Again, making sure that I'm putting them on the right way, not upside down. Just saying. Once that's done, we're going to move back to the front. And you can see here that even though I've got all of that overhang, it will spin. Okay? It will have that spin effect. However, I'm going to kind of stop it because I want to take the rest of these chocolates and build them up onto the frame so you can see what I mean by that weight and why I created those braces around the opening, just to give it a little bit more strength and it won't concave into, it won't dip into that area between the lower accordion and the side accordion. I'm adding all of these chocolates, and you can see I've got this flow from the bottom left corner up to the top right of all of these chocolates. And I bet you all want chocolate now, right? I know I do. We're going to add, to finish off our piece, we're just going to add some gold crystals again to the outside. I do hope you enjoy this. I hope you will make sure that you join the Instagram hop that is going on right now, and all of that will be linked down below. If you're curious and want to see the full-length video, this video actually was 2 hours in the making, and that is available to my Patreons on my Patreon account, and that's where a lot of the full-length tutorials will be housed. So if you're curious, make sure you just check that out. All the products that I used will be linked down below, and if you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well. Continue to enjoy this process. Smile. Don't stress. We have no stress. We all create beautiful art, and it's ours. But always remember what is most important, everyone, and will continue to always be important. Always be creative. Until the next video, take care.